The National Science Foundation. It is what I consider the nation's premier agency supporting basic scientific research. And NCAR and NSF have had a very special relationship that has lasted over 5 decades. For those who don't know, NCAR is NSF's largest federally funded research and development center, dedicated to providing research facilities and capabilities to advance atmospheric and related sciences nationally. And we're very delighted to have a number of NSF representatives here, and of course the director of NSF, Dr. Subra Seresh. Now, I realized when I went through his bio that if I went through every honor that he's achieved, that not only would I obliterate his presentation, I would obliterate everybody else's presentation too. He's had a remarkable career. Let me just say that he's one of our preeminent scientists and engineers in the nation. He was nominated by President Obama and unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate to become the director of the National Science Foundation in September 2010. As director of the $7 billion independent federal agency, he leads the only government science agency charged with advancing all fields of fundamental research, both in science and engineering and related education. I'm very proud to introduce Dr. Subra Seresh.
Thank you very much, Roger. Governor Mead, former Governor Friedenthal, Congresswoman Lummis, Mayor, and distinguished guests and friends. It's been a phenomenal weekend for the National Science Foundation. Day before yesterday, we launched a ship in Marinette, Wisconsin, which was completed on time and on budget, and it'll go from Marinette, Wisconsin, all the way to the Arctic to look at unprecedented changes that have been taking place in the northernmost part of the globe in recent decades, in recorded history. It's so fitting that we come directly from Wisconsin to here to open this new supercomputing center facility where we have NSF partnering with NCAR, the state of Wyoming, in a public-private partnership that has been described earlier, so that we can look to the future and try to see what scientific discoveries need to be made, how it affects humanity, the global challenges, and how it excites young minds, as the governor just said, especially in this EBSCO state, as we look to the future for the state of Wyoming, the country, and the world. Now, NSF has been a proud partner in the expedition that began decades ago, leading up to today. NSF was involved with our sister agencies in laying the groundwork for things like the internet, the field of computer science, the creation of many computer science departments around the country, global positioning system. NSF funded fundamental science in global positioning system in the 1960s, when nobody knew, including NSF, that we will be using GPS in our handheld devices today. If we had asked the question, what is the value of this today or for tomorrow, we would not have funded this. Had we not funded that basic science, Apple and Motorola and Google and others would not be able to do what they are doing today. And this is what the National Science Foundation does. Last year, 82% of all the basic research done in all the American universities and colleges funded by the federal government has been funded by the National Science Foundation. 65% in mathematics, 40% in engineering. So NSF is at the epicenter of the science and engineering innovation ecosystem of the US, which not only satisfies the scientific curiosity of millions of scientists and engineers in the country, it's also the bedrock of our economic prosperity and national security. And I'm very proud to represent 1,500 of my colleagues at the National Science Foundation who work very hard to make this happen on a daily basis. Yesterday evening at the reception that the governor and the first lady held in their home for many of us, I made a comment that last week there were 2 Nobel Prizes given in physics and chemistry, which NSF supported. The winners of the Nobel Prize were selected by NSF to receive graduate research fellowships. So NSF moves very fast. I have something to update this morning. This morning, the Nobel Prize Committee announced 2 more Nobel Prizes in economics. Both of them, for their Nobel Prize-winning work, were supported by the National Science Foundation. Lloyd Shapley at UCLA was funded by NSF from 1971 to 1984 for his Nobel Prize-winning work. Alvin Roth at Harvard has been continuously funded by NSF since 1978 for his Nobel Prize-winning work. And with that, NSF reaches a landmark today. With today's announcement, 201 American Nobel Prize winners since 1951 have had their roots to success through NSF funding. So there are 2 things that I want to mention. NSF identifies Nobel Prize winners decades before the Nobel Prize Committee does. We identify them on the basis of potential rather than accomplishments. So that's the first point. On average, we've given them more money than the Nobel Prize Committee has given. So that's the other statement that I can make. So this supercomputing center will lead to possibilities, intellectual possibilities, scientific and engineering possibilities, and human capital development possibilities that we cannot possibly forecast today. But we know from the last 62 years of history from the National Science Foundation that that journey will lead to a lot of success that none of us can forecast today sitting here. Let me close by thanking a number of my colleagues who are here. We have Cliff Jacobs and Sarah Ruth from the Geosciences Directorate, Michael Morgan, who's a division director, Wendy Harrison, also a division director from our Geosciences Directorate. They are here. Alan Bletecki, who's been leading our cyber infrastructure initiative at NSF, is joining us today. And we have colleagues from our Legislative and Public Affairs Office, Judy Gern, Tony Gibson, and Dana Tapusis, who are here. Those, in addition to nearly 1,500 colleagues in Washington, D.C. and Arlington, Virginia, play a critical role day in and day out in interfacing with 300,000 American scientists and engineers who annually receive funding from the National Science Foundation. So I want to thank all of you for making this happen. I want to congratulate colleagues at NCAR, UCAR, and those who made this possible on time, on budget, on your phenomenal achievement. And NSF has been a proud partner with NCAR for 52 years now, and we will make sure that we will continue to foster not only cutting-edge research in atmospheric sciences, but also in all other fields that it helps support for the future of mankind. I would like to also present, on behalf of the National Science Foundation, a plaque to the NCAR Wyoming Supercomputing Center, which I will leave here for this to be displayed to show our appreciation for all those colleagues who made this happen. So thank you very much.